Hi, I'm Maddie Hubbard from CoCreate. Welcome to our introduction video on GatherTown for the Stronger Together Festival of Co-Production Learning. Our workshop itself will be from 11 till 12 on Friday the 30th of April. This explainer video is just a chance to get comfortable with the platform and feel prepared to join the conversations on the day. So GatherTown is a platform that allows you to create an avatar and walk around a virtual space and join conversations just as you would in real life. It's pretty easy and intuitive to use. We've made this video just so you can get a feel for it and feel confident ahead of the workshop. So once you've signed up for the workshop, you should receive a link which you can paste into either a Chrome or a Firefox browser, which are the two browsers which support Gather as a platform. Once you do that, it will show you this page. So you need to click on the Continue in your browser option. Once you've done that, the first thing you get to do in Gather is name and edit your character. So name yourself, choose your avatar and clothing, which will become the icon that other people see once you're in the space. The next thing you need to do is give Gather permission to access your microphone and camera. This is so you can see and hear people in Gather and they can see and hear you. Your microphone and camera only work with one program at a time, so make sure you don't have Zoom, Skype, or other apps open while using Gather. On Chrome, this is what the pop-up looks like. You should give permission for Gather to use your microphone and your camera. If you dismiss or block the initial pop-up, you may see a message saying Gather needs your permission to access your camera or microphone. If you close this and don't change your settings, people won't be able to see or hear you inside of Gather. If you accidentally blocked Gather from accessing your camera or microphone, you'll see a camera icon on the upper right side of the site address with a red X to indicate you've denied the site access. You can click on this to update your preferences. You'll need to refresh the page for this to work. You can always check or change your permission settings by clicking the lock icon on the upper left of your site address bar. In Firefox, this is what the pop-up looks like asking for permission to access your camera and microphone. Again, if you accidentally block Gather, you'll see a microphone or a camera icon in the upper left of your sidebar with a grey slash through them to indicate you've denied the site access. You can click on this to change your preference. To remove the block permissions and allow Gather access, click on your site privacy and security settings by clicking the lock icon on the left of your address bar and then clicking the X next to each block permission. Again, for this to work, you'll need to refresh your page. So you can check your permissions by clicking on the lock icon at any time. It should look like this top option. If it looks like the bottom one, that means you need to refresh the page for everything to work. Right, so now we've figured out those permissions. Next, we're going to go over to Gather itself to show what will happen once you launch the program and to give you a tour of the space. So once you've got through those stages, you'll come into Gather in a tutorial. This is just to help you use all the navigation features. So you'll see the first thing it asks you to do is use your arrow keys to move around, and it's inviting you to move until you're in the glowing tile. Next, it's showing you how to mute and unmute yourself. And you'll see in the bottom right, this is where your video will appear, and it's asking you to click the little microphone icon to mute yourself and click again to unmute yourself. Next, it's teaching you how to interact with different objects in the space. You'll see in our space when you walk near something, some of them will glow yellow. This means that there's something extra about them. And when you walk up to them, you can press X to interact with them. You can interact with all sorts of things, whether it's posters or videos or whiteboards. And once you've finished interacting with them, there's an X button in the top right to close. So that's the tutorial, just the really simple moving around features, and then it invites you to walk through the door into the space we've created for our workshop. Once you arrive, you'll enter into our space with a nice welcome mat. There's a video here that you can re-watch this intro video if there's any questions you have or you just want to make sure you know where you're going. But other than that, we'd recommend just walking around the space and having an explore to see what you think. So a few things it's worth knowing about. First is that when you walk up to a table, you enter a private space. This means the only people whose videos you can hear are the ones who are also around that table. So there are a few different private spaces around the room. There's these tables over here, there's the big conference table here, and there's also some kind of armchairs and more informal space over here. The idea being that you can either chat to people who are near you, so you can walk around and go near people and have a conversation, or you can join people having an informal chat around the sofas, almost as if you're at a real event. Another way you can chat to people is using the messaging function. So that's down here, there's the little speech bubbles that say chat. When you click on those, you have the option to message people nearby to you, to message everyone, or to message specific people that are in the space. You can close this just by pressing this little arrow button here. Finally, we're going to be hosting 3 different conversations in this space, and to find those, you walk over to this end and you'll see there's 3 workshop rooms. So when you walk into a room, each of these are a private space, and you'll suddenly be able to hear and talk to the people in that space and hear from the workshop facilitator. You're very welcome to go between workshops. You don't have to stay in a specific room, and you can explore the space as much as you want. As well as joining those conversations, there's also features around the room you can interact with. Over here is a whiteboard where you can have a look at the co-production toolkit, and next to it is a little survey where you can give your feedback. With both of those, you just need to press the X button to interact with them. And then finally, over here on this red carpet are some whiteboards where you can give your feedback, make notes, say what actions you're going to be taking away from the workshop. Again, you just press X and it takes you into the whiteboard, and then you can type whatever you want onto it. And to get out of it is just this X in the top corner. Right, so if we go back to our slides. So the final thing to show you is that when someone else is in the space, you'll see that being near them means that their video appears in the top. The way to make this bigger so that it can be kind of like Zoom where you can see their full face is to click on that little expand button, which is just next to that circle. When you do that, the person's video fills the whole space, and however many people are near you, it will show up to around 9 videos in a kind of bigger filling the screen way. And to get out of that, you just need to click that minimize button in the top right hand corner of the arrow. Finally, a bit of tech support. If the tech isn't working, the first thing to check is that you're using the right browser. So Gather only works in Chrome or Firefox. Next, make sure you've got all the permissions for Gather to access your camera and your microphone. And finally, have a go refreshing the page. Most things in Gather can be fixed with a classic turning it off and on again. But for anyone that thinks perhaps this isn't for them, we'll also be running a Zoom meeting at the same time where I'll be a roving reporter going around the space and showing other attendees what's happening. So we'd really love for you to join us in Gather, but if you prefer, then absolutely join us on Zoom instead.